As the slog journey goes on, we have yet another episode of Starfleet Academy to review, and this is number 8. Welcome to my review of episode 8, entitled The Life of the Stars, where Star Trek has gone full-blown theater kids. This episode is literally nothing but feelings and people trying to justify their feckless life as an actor. I don't think I've seen this much self-praise from actors since the last awards show, which those things don't even matter either. Again, it's just actors patting themselves on the back for how good a job they did. This episode in particular, I feel like it was written during COVID when everybody was locked down, but actors got to be treated like essential workers because how dare they not get to work and, have to stay in their homes like everybody else? They're actors. They're important people. So let's just get into the episode because there's really no sense in delaying it any further. This is Starfleet Academy episode 8. The episode actually begins with Robert Picardo narrating about time. The Beta Tard is back, and she is transferred to Starfleet Academy instead of the War College. And for some reason, her uniform is a little bit different than everyone else's. Everybody else has the little cutout right here, but I think to keep her neck thing, her inhibitor, from being hidden by the collar, they changed her outfit. So now we get to see her with her new outfit. She has a new inhibitor that will keep her from having another freak out and losing control, which I don't know why they didn't just do that in the first place, but here we are. Everybody sees her and they're looking at her like she's different, even though there's really nothing wrong with her. I don't know why people would be afraid of her or look at her like she's weird, but again, here we are. And it turns out that all of the cadets are struggling because of trauma, and nobody's working together. They have like a mock battle on the bridge with Tig Notaro, and Mushmouth talks about how they all need to work through their trauma before they're going to be able to work together. So, the Doctor and Captain Mushmouth come up with the great idea to bring in Lieutenant Tilly from Star Trek Discovery.
I am Saru. This is Tilly.
My name lacks authority.
What?
What?
This is Captain Tilly. What the hell? Hold your horses.
Computer, green juice, extra green.
This is so neat. Roommate is like an automatic built-in friend.
That's hardly the correct ratio. 3 egg white breakfast burrito with black beans.
Oh, that old trick! Are you freaking kidding me?
Computer, add salsa.
I used to exclusively go for soldiers, but I'm kind of going through like a musician phase right now.
New worlds, new things. Like, hey, what's that? Is that a new life form?
Maybe they died trying to save you.
Hey, thanks for that.
You have really beautiful nail beds.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Womp, 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 womp. So they're all assigned to the only classroom that you ever see on this show. And Sam ends up saying something about how she dropped Genesis' toothbrush in the toilet, but Genesis responds as if she had been told that they're serving Canadian bacon instead of normal bacon. Like her reaction doesn't fit with what she's been told. If somebody told me that my toothbrush had been dropped in the toilet, I would go ballistic. But she just goes, "Oh no, that's gross." The Beta Tard is also in this class, and she gives him the cold shoulder. Then Tilly arrives. Sorry to jump scare you with that image, but Tilly arrives, and apparently the actress lost weight after leaving Discovery, the show. And I don't know if they made her gain the weight back or if she just naturally gained it back, but she's back to looking bigger than everybody else again. I don't understand why they do that, for continuity maybe, but this show doesn't really stick with continuity, so what does it matter? But she's back, and she acts like a crazy person. At one point she's talking and she does this thing with her eyes when she's acting crazy, like it's like she just saw like a fresh box of donuts arrive on set.
Pigs in space!
But she has them all choose a play because she's teaching theater. As you learn in Starfleet, that military adjacent college where you learn to be a professional officer and you learn how to make snap decisions and how to deal with things, weapons training and flight control, those types of things. Oh, also you learn theater as well. We also learn that Sam is still glitching, which ends up becoming most of what the episode is about, other than trauma. So the students all have to pick a play to talk about for the next class. Because when you think of Starfleet, you think of theater and plays. So the girls all have a glass of wine and they're talking about things, and Tig Notaro does say one thing to Tilly that I actually liked. She says, "Your relentless optimism is nightmarish." And it's like, I couldn't have said it better myself. But essentially nothing else is gleaned from this meeting of the girls. Again, when you think of Star Trek, you think of women sitting around drinking alcohol and talking about feelings. So that's where we're at. This has kind of been going around on social media a bit, but Gaiden gives his summary of a Klingon play, which he has to bring out the mention of testicles.
At the climax, as the rival house eats the warrior stew, you learn that they've been served the heart and the quadritesticles of their fathers.
Ew, that's disgusting. I hate this guy.
Okay. Yeah, so powerful.
I guess he's over his public speaking completely and it doesn't bother him at all, but he's actually sick. So Tilly lets him leave the class and not participate until his sickness has gone away, so he doesn't have to be the theater kid this time. Instead, Sam is given the opportunity to talk about her play, and her play ends up being extremely relevant to the plot. And at this point, we're about 15 minutes into the episode, and there's literally nothing interesting or important happening other than this one thing that is mentioned about her play, because it's extremely similar to the plot. So that's important technically, but overall to Star Trek in general, it's basically like nothing is happening. It's literally just a group of 20-something actors talking about plays, and they're doing it in the setting of a military adjacent academy type thing, and it's pointless. It's extremely pointless. Sam glitches out and she wakes up in the med bay, and the doctor tells her that her treatment at the spa didn't work and her processors or something have been failing for weeks. The doctor talks about circuits and processors, which, if you think about it, for computers, circuits and processors are all right there. But she's a hologram. She's a photonic being, so she has no circuits and she has no processors. Those technically would be back on her planet and not physically with her, because she's not physically there. She's not a physical being. So where are her processors? Where are her circuits? She's not a robot. She's not data. She's a hologram. So she doesn't have circuits. She might have processors back on her home planet. They're not here in the room. So the doctor and Captain Mushmouth decide to go back with her to her home planet to get help, which is like the first thing they should have done instead of sending her to a hologram spa. I don't know, it's just stupid. So while the doctor and Mushmouth and Sam leave, we have to stay here with Tilly and learn about theater and have the kids try to care about theater. Essentially, none of them are into the idea and they don't understand the point. At one point, Tilly says to the Beta Tard that she's sailing too close to the wind, which, like, I don't even understand what that means, because you use the wind to sail. That's the whole point. And like, it feels like that line was written by an actual retarded person. So the Beta Tard, she continues to crash out, and that's when we get that line, and I feel like my head's going to explode with the dialogue that's written for these people. I say people, but I mean actors, because actors aren't people. So in the shuttle, Sam describes how 3 days on Earth are like 3 years on her planet of Cask. And the doctor talks about his time with Voyager, where 18 minutes for the crew was like years and years for him when he was stuck on this one planet, which is a nice little nod to Voyager. That's actually a really good episode. Way better written than this. Sam says she essentially just wants to live, but she starts having her own little crash out, and it causes her to glitch so hard that she goes to sleep. So the Betatard and Caleb, they finally talk, but she's been drinking. And after she starts getting handsy with him, he says that he wants to stop because she's drunk. But for some reason, she thinks that he's afraid of her because she's a monster. And then he gets up and leaves, and that's pretty much all that happens. Literally, like, their conversation, their meet back up doesn't really amount to anything. So I would love to do this to her and to all of the people in the show who keep talking like idiots. But we're 36 minutes into the episode at this point, and still nothing meaningful has really happened. I hate to say it, but I'm actually more interested in Sam's story. No, I don't actually hate to say that, because Sam's story is actual sci-fi, and the B-plot is theater, which has nothing to do with Star Trek. So the captain, Sam, and the doctor reach Cask, and it looks like this. For some reason, it's a whatever that shape is. I'll put it somewhere. And they get teleported down to the planet, and to save money, they just make it be set in the atrium of the school. It's definitely not because they're trying to make it seem like the Kaskians are being kind to people who can't perceive things in a holographic way. It's literally just to save money, clearly. So they tell Sam that they need to swarm with her to be able to heal her or whatever, and she turns around to the doctor and asks him to hold her hand, which he just doesn't. So instead, she becomes one with them, and they swarm, and she ends up coming out looking like this. And they essentially tell her, after they play clips from previous episodes of her interactions with people, that she can't be saved, and then she dies.
Thank God, finally.
They do more theater with Tilly and the cadets. They still don't care, but they're all double speaking about the characters in the play, like they're talking about Caleb and the Betatard and their relationship, and the Betatard just in general, because apparently they all just want her to return, but they want her to want to return, as if their therapy involves her getting over her hangups about being a monster or something. It's played off like it's therapy that's working. It's just thinly veiled therapy to like trick the kids into healing or something. It's so on the surface and not about actual therapy at all. So the Betatard decides to leave, and I guess the kids somehow find out that Sam is not coming back, and they're crying about it, and they figure out, again, somehow, we're just told this, that Sam chose that specific play to help them come together and heal as a group or something. You guys would not believe how much I'm skipping over just to get to the stuff that kind of matters. So remember that. So they're all sitting together, and they decide to go ahead and like play out this play so that they can heal inside. Here they are playing out the play. I don't even know how to word that. So the doctor, he actually gets to do a little bit of acting here. Robert Picardo does. He talks about how when he was on Voyager, he had his own family, and he had to watch his child die, and it was very traumatic for him, and that's why he didn't want to hold her hand, because it felt like he was losing a daughter again or something. But it's a nice callback to Voyager yet again, a show that was 1,000 times better than this show could ever get close to. So it was nice to see him talking about something that happened over 800 years ago, but again, when applied to this show and his lack of connection to this particular character, because they really haven't developed a relationship between the two of them, they've focused more on gay things and gay themes than they have with their actual characters. But he ends up talking about how sad he is about this moment, and they end up talking to the Kaskians, and they figure out that the Kaskians never programmed Sam with previous memories. So she didn't know how to process the trauma within, which is what killed her. So Captain Mushmouth somehow convinces the Doctor he should be her dad, because they can reprogram her to have memories and to have like a backstory or something, instead of just creating her as a 17-year-old. And so the Captain essentially tells him, yeah, you're going to be her dad, which he agrees, and he says that he will spend 17 years on Cask in Caskian time and raise her as his own child, and then he'll come back once she's back to where she's supposed to be emotionally and physically or something. But it's crazy because he's a hologram that was made by humans, and somehow he's 100% compatible with alien holograms that are centuries developed past where he ever would be or could be. So I feel like that's a little bit of a conflict, but again, the writers didn't think of that. So Sam gets healed. They give the doctor her, I guess. I don't know where that goes, but I guess that's her now. And only like 2 weeks have passed in real time. But the Beta-Tard reappears while the cadets are doing their little play, and she has decided to stay. And somehow she's fully memorized the play that they're doing, even though they kind of spontaneously chose to do this play. And they're all friends again. And of course, Tilly and Tig Notaro are watching from the balcony. You could have predicted all this from the start. So Tilly's leaving, and before she leaves, she says bye to Terima, which I don't know how I remembered the Beta-Tard's name, but her name is Terima. And Tilly ends up getting emotional and crying, just like she did in Discovery.
I really wanted to tell you. Just wanted your blessing. How can I make it easier? Wait, you mean you're not leaving? I'm here.
Where it was all just feelings and hallways and crying. So she's keeping the stereotype going. And Sam and the doctor return, and everybody's happy again. And this whole episode was just actors praising themselves for the perceived importance of their jobs. And we get one final look at the captain as she talks about how a play is like life and how important she is. And it's so dumb. It's so stupid. So that was Starfleet Academy episode 8. Again, profoundly bad, annoying. This one actually kind of made me mad because actors are not that important in the real world. In fact, in Japanese culture, actors were ranked below prostitutes. So maybe we should bring that back. But anyway, those are just my thoughts about this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching. And like I say at the end of every episode, live long and kapla. Allah.